Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Chris from Bikes and Brews, and I made a video of a Sprinter van rear AC delete. Which, if anybody has a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, and I think it's the years like 2007 to 2014, you know that they come the passenger van specifically. So I have a 2011 170 high roof passenger van. And so those passenger vans come with these giant monstrosities of a rear AC unit that takes up a very large portion of the roof space. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how easy it is actually to do a rear AC unit deletion. And this is something that I actually was very interested in doing for a while. So again, I have a 2011 passenger 170 high roof, and I took all of the bench seating out of the back and built out a camper van. So I don't have people riding in the back that I need a rear AC for, and also that rear AC only works when the van is on. So essentially, it's rear AC for rear passengers when you're driving, and so it looks this doesn't look that clean. And then also, if you want to get a roof rack, it takes up probably a quarter of the, or maybe a third of that roof real estate. And so I was always interested in deleting it. It seemed daunting and kind of intimidating to me, and so I kind of, well, I didn't kind of, but I put it off and put it off and put it off. And then what happened was my rear AC, the seals went bad, and so when it would rain, the interior box would fill up with water, and then whenever I would drive and then start to turn, water would pour literally out of that inside AC. It would pour out like left and right, and it would just be, spilling all over my van, which was a total pain in the ass. So I started researching how to fix the seals on that roof AC, and what I learned was that it's the same process as removing it. In fact, you'll see in this video, you get to probably 80 or 90% of removing the entire rear AC just to replace the seal. So I just thought this was the perfect time. And so I found a guy on eBay who sells rear AC delete plates. And basically what they are is, because when you remove that entire AC, there's holes in your roof. And so he sells these plates that you put on top of these holes, and it completely seals up the van, looks super clean, and you'll see him in the video. It was a really nice find. So this took me, well, as I was going through it, I ended up needing to order things that I didn't know I needed. And if you have everything that you need, you could do this, especially if you have someone helping you. You could easily do this in under a half a day. Like, it's very simple. By yourself, easily half a day to a 3/4 day if you have all the tools. So don't be intimidated by this. The tools that you'll need are the Torx head bits, and anybody that has a Sprinter van that's done any work, especially on the interior, you know that the entire thing is put together with those Torx head bits. And then you need a 10-inch and a 13-inch, 10 millimeter and a 13 millimeter, not inch, 10 and a 13 millimeter wrench. And then I would also recommend, if you have a drill or if you don't find one, and then get one of those like bit extenders that the Torx can fit into the tip, and you'll go through this so much faster. I did this a lot with just by hand with a screwdriver, and it definitely added to the time. So if you can get your hands on that, it'll be easy. And you'll see that these plates come with all the adhesive and then the weather stripping and everything. Very simple, very easy to do. And there you go. Let's get started. Let's get started. So the first thing that I did was I removed all of the roof panels. And you can see there's a ton of videos on YouTube that show you how to remove those ceiling panels. It's really super easy. They're just pop rivets. I have a tool to pop them out, but you could even do it with your hand. It's that easy. So I'm not going to cover that in this tutorial. I'm just going to get right into the AC. And so if you look, this is the rear AC unit, and this is the box right here that would fill up with water, and then the water would pour out of it when I would make left and right hand turns. And so one thing that I did was one thing that I've already done is I took it to my mechanic, Anaheim Hills Auto Care in Anaheim Hills, California. Go see Jim, really good guy, really good Mercedes mechanic here in Southern California. So anyway, I took it over to Jim, and I had Jim remove all of the Freon from the rear AC system. And so one thing to note is that, at least in my 2011 passenger van, the front and rear ACs units are completely separate units. So you can remove all of the fluids from the rear unit. It doesn't affect the front unit at all. The good thing about that is you're going to see where I'm going to disconnect this unit on the pillars here, and you can leave those lines open because it's its own separate unit, and so there's no need to cap it or anything like that. They also have their own compressors, so they're completely separate units, which is good because it makes this project a little bit easier. So I'm also going to show you real quick what's on the roof. If you're watching this video, you probably already know what's on the roof because you also want to remove that rear AC. So here we have this is what it looks like on the inside when you've removed all the plastics. And what I'm going to end up with is 3 holes in my roof. And so I'm going to have a hole here, I'm going to have a hole here, I'm going to have a hole here, and then I'm going to have a big hole. I'm going to have a big hole right here. And what I did was there's a guy on eBay that sells these rear AC delete plates, and it comes with 3 circular pre-cut aluminum circular plates for the 3 circular holes, and then 1 big one for the big rectangular one. It also comes with all the adhesive, so you don't have to add epoxy or anything like that. It's just one kit, and I'll attach the link to that down below so you can find that and order those up. And so this is basically the process. So you're going to see right here on this A pillar, this is where I'm going to disconnect. This is the joint where we disconnect, and there's a Torx wrench. If you work on Mercedes-Benz vans, you know everything's a torque wrench. So I'm going to loosen this torque wrench. This is going to pull out, and then you can see these lines. So this one goes to that circular hole right there. Here's this one right here. I'm going to disconnect this, and you can see this one goes into the rear AC, and so all that's going to be disconnected. Ooh. Okay, so you can see I popped that one. There was still a little bit of pressure in there, so. And then that one was good. Okay, so this part of the video, what I'm doing is I'm removing all those Torx bolts from the perimeter of that black box. And that black box is the part of the rear AC that would fill up with water, and I would have to make all the left and right hand turns to get the water out of it, which sucked. And so what I recommend is getting a drill and getting a long bit extender that you can put a Torx bit into, and so you can use your drill for the entire part of this project because it's going to save you a lot of time than having to use the screwdriver like I'm using. And then you're going to see on the side there's a from one of those circular holes that I showed in the top of the roof. There's a line that goes from that to the side of this black box, and that basically is it's the electricity that drives this black box unit, and you're going to need a 10 millimeter box wrench to remove a bolt from the side of this black box to disconnect that. That's the most difficult part of this part of the project, is just removing that side portion. It's a little bit, I mean, it's not difficult to get to, like in terms of challenges. It's not Everest. But anyway, it just takes like 1 million, eighth degree turns to make sure that you're getting that bolt off. And that thing pops right out. And so anyway. Okay, so we've got the inside completely dismantled. I'd say that took 45 minutes or so, maybe less, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. And so now we're on to the outside. And so this is the outside. This is the outside hood. I've used my torque wrench, and I've already taken out all the Torx from this first part. And so we're just going to pop this off. Show you what's underneath. And so this whole component right here, this is going to come out first. We're going to unbolt it and just pull this off. And you can see it just has these bolts right here. So we've got to get through that putty, and then it's also sealed underneath. You can see right here. So this is going to have to be pulled up, but basically this pulls off. Then we pull off this front hood right there, and that's where that black box was. It's on the inside. That's where that's at, and then we can pull that apart. And so I think we need to get started. Yeah, so what's going to happen is you have these mounts right here. You have these long running mounts right here. Then you have this unit right here is mounted to these long running mounts. So this whole thing is going to come off. We can pull those off, and then we pull that front box off, and then that interior black box is going to pull out. So that's what we got out here. And I would say so far it's been a pretty easy process so far, but I know this roof work is going to be a lot of work, but excited to get it done. Yeah, so what you can see me doing right here is first of all, I use a ladder. I had more leverage. I wasn't on the roof. There wasn't a risk of me like falling off or slipping off. And yeah, I could just like be right kind of eye to eye with it, and the leverage was just so much better than being on the roof, like kind of leaning to the side. So I basically attack one side, then I move to the other side. All you need is a 10 and a 13 millimeter wrench to remove this stuff. You're going to see that once the fan comes off, it comes off like this radiator looking thing. The radiator looking thing, you're going to have to bend the frame. There's like some prongs that bend from the frame into that radiator looking thing, and that's the only way you're going to get that out, is pull the fan off, pull those prongs out, and then you can pull that whole radiator looking thing off. And yeah, this part was honestly pretty easy. Okay, so this was my game plan. I wanted to isolate these two racks, and then so what's left for me to do, you can see the two holes, and then this will be a hole too, but basically what I need to do is I need to uncover these bolts that have this sealant wrapped around it, and then this one too. And so I'm going to use some cutters and some pliers and just try and start pulling this sealant off these bolts, and then off that hole too, so I can start getting into there. But you can see it took me a half an hour to get that part of the fans and stuff removed from the top of the roof. Not too bad. It's moving pretty quick, and let's keep working. So I kind of thought that this was going to be the most daunting part of this entire project, and there's a ton of sealant that's wrapped around these, what amounts to 6 bolts. So there's this main frame that bolts to the roof of this van that holds this entire rear part of this roof AC unit on there, and there's a ton of sealant, like a little mini mountain of sealant that wraps around these bolts. And I really thought that this was going to be the most daunting part. And so initially what I did was basically what I had read, that you have to kind of cut all that sealant away and pull it away with pliers and kind of like that. And you can see on that first one, it kind of freaking took me forever, dude. And I was like, kind of like, damn, this is going to suck. But what I found is that at one point I grab it with the pliers, the sealant, and I'm pulling it. And what I found that like as I pulled it slowly, it actually pulled from the very bottom, like where it attaches to the metal. So that gave me the idea to get one of my giant flathead screwdrivers, and I basically um, pried the flathead screwdriver underneath the sealant, like kind of where it mounts to the metal, and I would just push up, like pry it up. And if you do it slow enough, that sealant completely pulls up in one big giant piece. And so what you're going to see, is after that first one, there's like 100 bazillion little pieces of sealant. And in the next 5, you're going to see actually like mushroom caps. Like as I just pry it up real slowly, the whole thing just pops up as one piece. And no, it's not like perfectly clean, but it definitely was enough for me to get that socket wrench on there and then pull those bolts up. And I use that same screwdriver then to just pry up the those frames, and they literally just popped right off. Okay, so I've got this first part out. It definitely is just going to need some cleaning. So you can see the long racks are out. You got the 3 holes pulled apart. Just pull the rest of that sealant off. And there's special buffer pads you can use for those holes. You can see this is basically what we're left with right here. And so anyway, that's what's next, and everything's moving along. And that took me about 45 minutes to pull that whole thing off. So again, moving along well, and let's keep working. Okay, so you can see why this thing was leaking, and you can see there's absolutely no seal on here. This thing just lifted up. You can see there's no seal underneath there either. This thing is just, I mean, this thing is trashed. This thing is like so trash. So that's it. So this is what I would have had to do to reseal all this stuff, and so that's why I chose just to take this thing out and open up all this roof space. I'm gonna get a full-length roof rack on it, and next I'm going to show you the plates, the delete plates. All right, moving on. So here's the delete plates, and all the ones on the back, and it's just gonna fill this hole like this, and those ones are gonna go over those little holes right there. Comes with all the adhesive on it. And anyway, we're getting close. Let's keep working. All right, so once I got all this stuff off the roof, this was kind of the easy part, where really all there was to do was clean the roof. And so the way that the instructions are written when you get these delete plates is, obviously you need to clean it because you're putting an adhesive on there. And the recommendations were to use 70% isopropyl alcohol to clean the space where you're going to be mounting the adhesive. And then using a Scotch-Brite to scuff up the clear coat. You don't want to get into the paint. You just want to hit the clear coat and hit it with some more isopropyl alcohol, and then lay that delete plate down. It also recommends that you start with the little ones first, just to like get used to the process of it. And so you can see that I did that. And you know, these plates went down really easy. You can see I first started with simple green because it was really dirty, just to get all of the dirt and grime and stuff off. The simple green really broke through all that dirt and grime and whatnot really easy. Then I hit it with the isopropyl, and then hit it with the Scotch Brite, scuffed it up, and then went after it with isopropyl again, then laid the plates down. For that big plate, the one right in the middle, um, what I did was, and it recommended this, is you lay it on there, get it perfect, and then hit the back line with some tape to make sure it lines up. And then when you go to lay the plate down, you just line it up with that tape and then lay that baby down. Um, the other thing that it recommends is that you hit it with a heat gun on the top or the bottom. What I ended up doing was using 25-pound bumper plates, put them on top, and then hit the bottom with a heat gun, and it turned out beautifully, man. All right, good morning, YouTube. So we got a lot of work done yesterday on this. This actually was much easier than I thought. If I had known how easy this project was, I probably would have done it earlier. I was anticipating a lot more work. I thought it was going to be a lot more harder and a lot more complicated than it was. You can see in this video I break down about how long it took me for each part of the project. And I think if you had someone helping you, you probably could move through it actually really fast. And so I'm going to include down below the different tools that you need that I use, the size, wrenches and all that stuff, so you can just have all that stuff ready. So a lot of my time was spent trying to figure out what size wrench I needed for what, and taking stuff up and down off the roof. And if you had someone helping you, you could move through this project really fast. But you can see the delete plates, and again, I just ordered those off of eBay, so that link will be down below. And you can see there's still that one hole that's open, and what's happened with that is there is some of the sealant is still stuck on there, and so I've ordered it's called an eraser, a rubber eraser disc, and you just attach it to a drill, and it takes all that it takes all of the sealant off of the roof, so I can attach that last delete plate. So that was the only one that had that stuff, and that arrives today from Amazon. I did go to my local hardware stores and nobody had it. Tried to give my local businesses my money first. I ended up just ordering on Amazon, and so it'll be here today. I'm gonna pop you outside so you can see what the plates look like. On the roof. And so that delete plate set also comes with it's like 3M adhesive tape, and so that's what you see wrapped around those plates, is that adhesive tape, just in case there's any openings. And that was also really easy to use. I'd never even heard of that stuff before, but it looks like it's going to be money. So what I got left today is these power cords that are just hanging down. I need to unwrap where they're wrapped up with my light cables, and then I'm just going to draw them out along the strand, and they're going to get electrical tape, and they're just going to be taped up to this. I didn't want to cut all that wiring out because I didn't know what went to what, and I didn't feel like taking the time of cutting one at a time and checking my fuses and going through that whole thing. So that's what I'll be doing, and let's get to work. This was kind of the last thing to do was, well, what to do with all these existing wires. And talking with my mechanic, what you see is, when you get into it, is there's like a huge bundle of wires, and so I didn't want to just go through and start like cutting all these wires apart, because I didn't know where they went to, and I didn't know what fuses they went to. I didn't want to start popping fuses and on like that. So my mechanic recommended I just grab that whole bundle. It's already wrapped up, and I just brought it back along that existing line that's already there in the van, and just used some electrical tape and just wound it up against that existing line. You can see by the time that I'm done dragging all those wires back and then wrapping them around, it looks really super clean. There's nothing there to get in the way except the existing dome lights, which I'm going to be using. I didn't take off any of the connectors or anything to those wire bundles. I just left it there, drew it back, and then wrapped it super tight with electrical tape around those existing lines. And I don't know. I mean, it looks super clean, and I haven't had any electrical issues. So all right, good morning, YouTube. So we've got all the delete plates installed, the 3M sealant tape wrapped around them, and you can see that's what the finished product looks like up on the roof of the van. So what we have left to do is we're gonna seal the holes around these bolts to make sure that no water can get in from here. I'm gonna end up leaving this on here, at least for now. I'm gonna have a giant rack up here, so this will all be covered anyway, and I'm not too concerned about the aesthetic of that underneath the rack. And so what I'm going to use is flex paste. It's just a rubberized paste, flexible, waterproof, and so let's get this done. Okay, so we're all done. It took maybe 10 minutes, and you can see that they're all covered up. What I might do when this is all dry, the thing is we got rain coming in, and so this is the perfect time to wrap up this part of the project. This stuff, it says, takes up to 48 hours to fully cure and dry, and so that's perfect because we're expecting rain at the end of the week. It's Tuesday, we're expecting rain Friday, and so perfect test to make sure this thing's all sealed up. What I'll probably do, again, like I was just trying to say, what I'll probably do when this is all cured and dried and the rain moves through is I'll take the rubber pad and I'm going to remove all this excess stuff, which I don't have time to get to yet. But anyway, that's it. So this is basically, it's going to be the finished product of the roof AC delete. And yeah, I'm pretty freaking stoked with it. So anyway, thank you. Okay, there you go. There's your rear AC Sprinter van delete. Very easy process. Grab a buddy, 6-pack of beers. You'll be done in half a day. It looks super, super clean. Like I was saying, I did this I think maybe like 4 years ago. And the thing is absolutely solid, not had any leaks. We've had one of the wettest, rainiest years on record here, and I just haven't had any problems. I also live at the beach, and so we have a ton of moisture and kind of that dew, foggy drizzle, and it's never leaked at all. I would trust it anywhere. Um, Again, anyway, thanks for watching. If you have questions, you can put them in the comments. I'll be honest, I'm not checking this thing all the time, so it might take me a while. I apologize for that. I don't think I'm ignoring anybody. I just am not on there all the time. I'm not really on there frequently checking it. But drop your questions there in the comments, and I'll do everything that I can to answer your questions as best as I can. And I think that's it. Yeah, to van life.